I recognize the member, well, just as I recognize as well.
Hello, Mr. Khan. Thank you very much for joining us here today. You talked about rule of law. While it is very important to uphold the rule of law, but during your tenure, you've been accused of breaking the rule of law yourself. You've been accused of breaking the Constitution, Article 92, by preventing the no-confidence vote despite the Supreme Court's decision. During your tenure, there was a sitting MNA who was incarcerated despite the Supreme Court decision to release him, and yet your speakers did not give an order to bring them to the parliament despite it being against the law. So, firstly, while you do talk about the rule of law, how do you respond to the fact that you yourself have breached it? Secondly, and very quickly I'll ask, you talked about press freedom. During your time, there was a journalist who was abducted and tortured, Matiullah Jan. During your time, Abzar Alam was shot. It was during your time, Nusrat Javed, another journalist who criticized you, had to leave her job. Salim Safi had to leave the job. So, while you do talk about press freedom when you are out of the government, when you were in the government, you were yourself curbed on press freedom. So there's a pattern that while you are in government, you do something else. When you are outside the government, you do like to appeal to a populist agenda. Thank you.
So can you, let's start first by Matiullah Jan. We found out Matiullah Jan had been picked up night before. The first thing we did was in the morning when we found out he was released. We found out that he had been picked up by the security agencies because he had said something against them. My government immediately had him released. The other guy who was shot had actually nothing to do with freedom of media. It was a personal dispute which we investigated and found out. There was no journalist that where my government clamped down upon. There was not one journalist. These incidents, there was maybe one other incident that had to do with
YouTube पर Googly News देखने के लिए youtube.com की सर्च बार में Googly News TV टाइप करें। Googly News के पेज पर सुर्ख रंग के सब्सक्रिप्शन वाले बटन पर क्लिक करना ना भूलिए। YouTube पेज पर अपलोड होने वाली वीडियोस से बाखबर रहने के लिए बेल आइकन पर क्लिक कीजिए। आपको हर नई वीडियो के बारे में नोटिफिकेशन मौसूल हो जाएगा।